Welcome to Read, Eat, Travel, Repeat, the book club and podcast with your hosts, Sarah, Kit, and Marianne, three friends who talk about all things books, food, and travel. Welcome, readers, eaters, and travelers, to Read, Eat, Travel, Repeat, the podcast and book club where books take us beyond the page. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kit.
And I'm Marianne. Today we'll be talking about the books we have read recently and the books we think you need to add to your TBR pile.
And this episode is spoiler free, so if a book you haven't read is mentioned, don't worry, we're not going to spoil it for you. Also, as always, we are adult readers. We are for sure going to say some adult things. You have been warned.
For real.
All right, let's get to it.
Okay, well,
Who wants to go first?
Let's-
What did you read?
I'll go with Sarah since she's
Dear Sarah.
I read the shortest amount this month. Look at how sad my list is.
I love your little list of books.
I read somewhere that the average person reads 3 books a year, so
a
you're
year.
way
Yeah,
above average.
I
yeah.
mean, for a month is one a week. That's still like
That
good.
is,
Yeah.
so
I
one a
felt
week.
I struggled during our snow days, our entire week off of school. I didn't read anything, and I should have, but I couldn't get myself going. So I read The Hunting Party, obviously, Lucy Foley, right at the beginning of the month before we did our recording for our book of the month. Fantastic book. Love Lucy Foley. Listen to
good.
our episode on it. We won't talk much about it today. And then I read Daisy Darker because I had read Beautiful Ugly by Alice Fenney last month. And I really liked the writing, but it was the one in Scotland where I thought the ending got all weird. And I was like, I just don't. And then I started doing more research, and everyone loves Alice Fenney. And I thought, I'm one of those people, I'm like, I like the writing enough. I'm going to give it another chance. I'm going to pick another book and see. Super glad I did. I liked this one a lot more. This is one everyone says was their favorite. And I'll admit I was a little hesitant at first because it felt very much like one of my other favorites.
Okay.
My Agatha Christie, and then there were none. And I was kind of okay, are you just copying this? And then that whole trope, I don't know. But then it wasn't like that at all at the end.
That's
so
good.
it was definitely worth it. And I was like, oh, okay. They actually even mention it at one point, mention the book. So I was like, okay, so this is intentional. I loved that it took place on, we talk about what do we call it? The closed road or the closed door thriller. Locked door thriller. I don't like closed door thriller. Locked door thriller.
Locked door makes
closed door is like a whole different connotation. now.
Exactly. Not
That's
usually
for
something
sexy
in
times.
mystery books and thrillers.
Right.
It takes place on they all are gathered for the matriarch, the grandmother's 80th birthday party. She lives on an island in England that the only way you can get to it is when the tide is down.
Oh,
So those little
That's fun.
sand peninsula kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
And so the countdown of the book is the amount of time before the tide recedes, because they're all stuck in
So they're
this
stuck
house
there.
on the island.
Yeah.
And so every chapter is like a countdown of 4.5 hours till low tide, 3.5 hours till low tide. So they literally can't go anywhere. Good book. Highly recommend. A thriller. It was very different than anything I've ever read.
That's cool.
And I did not suspect the ending at all.
Nice.
At all. And then one of my goals was the Kindred Curse Saga by Penn Cole. Super long books. And I've been listening to them. So I listened to Spark of the Everflame, and I listened to Glow of the Everflame, and I probably listened to a quarter of is Glow of the Everflame the second one, or I don't remember. There something of the Everflame, all of them. But this last book that I'm currently reading, the audio is 34 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
even
a lot.
I listened to it on 1.4. It was on 1.3 for a while. It's still 27 hours.
Holy shit.
So
That
I'm
is
just
so long.
when I start to think about it, I'm like, okay, listening to both of those, that's 2 books each.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were kind of getting on yourself for not reading as
I
many
know.
books, but
I'm I feel
I
like I'm
listened to an audiobook.
constantly.
and it was 13 hours.
Yeah.
So,
I'm usually they're around 10 hours or something like
yeah.
that. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, wait, that is 3 books.
You're
that I think
now
about it.
absolved of your sins.
Yeah.
As I'm
We
reading this
forgive
third
you.
one, which I'll talk about next month, but I got to a point and I'm like, oh, this feels like we're getting resolved. And I looked and I still have 11 hours.
Oh, it's a whole book. You have a whole book left.
Yeah, but it is such a good series.
Yeah.
Such a good series. I'm absolutely loving it. So that's
Nice.
it. That's it for me.
That's it. That's all.
Yep. Who's next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I've been going with my students a lot to the library. So I've been picking up just like, this looks nice, like off the front of a shelf. And like sometimes the book ends up being great. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know why I picked this up. But I picked up The Beautiful Stories of Life, 6 Greek Myths Retold by Cynthia Rylant. It's a middle grade book. And it's a lot of like the stories that we know, but they're like shortened down to like just the high notes because it's aimed at readers who have never had experience with these stories before. It was an interesting read. Some of it I felt was a little oversimplified, but that's coming from like an adult who's like, but about Persephone. Like I wanted like more. But in terms of who its actual audience is, really cute book. Like really like well condensed. And it gives you enough of each story so that if you have a kid that's like, ooh, I like this, they'll know exactly where they want to go. So I really liked that one. The next book I read was our unhinged romance that we all selected, My Tentacle Romance by Amber Fox. This was indeed the
Forgot about
unhinged
that
read
one.
of the month. It is it's exactly what you think it's going to be. It's a heartbroken girl. She thinks she's about to get proposed to. Instead, she gets broken up with.
Oh, wow.
She like runs out of the restaurant and then she's in a storm and then her car crashes and it's raining and she sees a cave and she's like, I have to hide in there in order to survive. And there's a giant tentacle monster that lives in the cave. And then it's just lots and lots of smut. Like that's it. It's just straight tentacle smut. And it's like an overwhelming amount. Like to the extent that I was like, this is a lot, which you know means
that's
is like,
that's a lot.
it's a lot. But it does have a happy ending. I did like the way it ended where it wasn't like the girl had to give up humanity or the monster had to try. They were like, let's come to a really nice compromise where we can raise little tentacle monster human hybrid babies. I was like, oh,
Perfect.
like, it was a really funny when it wrapped up. I was like, oh, that's sweet. I don't know how I can't remember how long this book was, novella length, and it was just straight. It was like, oh, I'm sad and broken up, then straight smut nonstop, and then it was, oh my god, adorable. So, it was a roller coaster. Well done, Amber Fox. And then my next book was another novella on Kindle Unlimited. This was recommended by one of my coworkers. Shout out to Marissa. She started listening to the podcast.
Oh dear.
She has Marianne's oh dearing because you're like, those are your coworkers. You have to go work with them and you talk about a lot of nonsense. You're not wrong. Marissa likes a lot of monster books too, not monster smutty romance, but like really good horror, which I love. So she recommended The Horror by David Sodergren. I'm going to talk about this one a lot later because this does end up being my favorite book of the month. Mm-hmm. But it's a novella. It's set in a Scottish fishing village where an overseas property developer, we can guess who that kind of is, is using increasingly aggressive tactics to acquire the land. The main character is the last holdout, but the heart and the crux of the story is like a straight up kind of like folk fairy tale. Mm-hmm. The good ones, the old ones where like people are losing legs and like the sea foam, like the good horror folk fairy tales. It's really good. And when it started, I was like, how's this going to play? Top notch. Then I listened to The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I know we've had some other books by her that were hit or miss. I really liked this one because it was a pretty straightforward murder mystery, but McFadden did a really good job at feeding tiny, tiny little bits about each character so you weren't sure who the murderer was. And it jumped back and forth in time. So you had the main male character as a child worried that he was fantasizing too much about hurting people. And he was like very self-aware of that fact. And throughout the book, you're not sure at any point whether he's going to give in to these urges. So he's always kind of on the table as like someone who could be the bad guy. I'm not going to tell you if he was or not, but you're like, yeah, that's going to be him. And then she starts just giving you little tidbits about every other character. So you start feeling a little crazy because maybe it's not him. Maybe he's like the red herring and he could be the red herring. And the final reveal was one of those where you're like, "No shit!" And then immediately we're like, "Yeah, I should have seen that coming." Once you know what it is, you can put all the puzzle pieces together
Right.
quickly. So I that one was really well done. I liked it. The next book was kind of my disappointment for the month. I read Fanny Hill. It's by John Cleland. I read this as an arc, but it's a book that was published in
Ooh.
1748.
I was
So this is
thinking it.
like a new
It was
reprinting
found or
kind of
something
thing.
or, yeah, okay.
I don't know. I think it's had like a bunch of reprintings. It has a new introduction. So it's just
Oh,
kind of a
okay.
new edition of it. It's decent. It's about a girl named Fanny Hill who was basically kidnapped and tricked into a life of prostitution in the mid
Eek.
1700s. So more of a brothel style, not like I'm selling you to multiple men, where that was, frankly, a job
Yeah.
that many people chose. And it was originally published in 1748. It's good. It could benefit from some structural cleanup. Like there was a
Mhm.
lot of times where because it really is just in her words. It's a straight up memoir,
Mhm.
but sometimes she loses the plot a little bit and she'll start talking about something over there and by the time we get back to what we had been talking about, I'm like, "Who is this? Like
Yeah.
who is this person we're talking
Because
about?"
we never do that. We never like go off
Literally
No.
on
never,
No,
like
never.
we always stay
I
on
stay on
topic.
topic at all
yes,
times.
yeah, yeah.
So it was a bit of a drudge to read. I'd have to flip back and be like, where am I right now? But the actual like information was super, super interesting. So it was a good one, but I wanted it to be more.
The
Then I,
genres it's listed as like a classic, obviously, erotica,
yeah,
Mm.
banned
she goes
books,
into like
historical
great
fiction.
detail.
Yeah,
Like,
it Fanny Hill
yeah,
or Memoirs of a Woman of Pleasure
Oh,
yeah. No,
is the
she's
sub,
tricked
yeah.
into prostitution, but she
Fascinating.
stays of her own volition.
Right,
Like
right.
she
Interesting.
becomes very good at what she does. But she does not pull any punches. She tells you exactly what's happening.
So an interesting classic.
does it
Yeah.
does
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
take place in England? Where does it take place?
Yes,
Because
in
I'm
England.
pretty sure in England the word fanny means something different than here.
Uh, it
Correct.
does.
It does.
It
Yeah.
does.
But
So
it's also yes.
I wonder
Is her
which
name
came.
really Fanny Hill?
I
Like,
don't know.
Well, I wonder which came first. I mean, I wonder if
Ooh,
the name,
yeah,
if the nickname came from that book, if this book came out in the
interesting.
1700s,
Yeah.
or
I
vice
would have
versa.
to look more into it because,
Yeah.
like I said, it had such good information in it, but I kept getting lost in the sauce. And I had a hard time retaining a lot of the facts.
Well, yeah, and then just the whole. I mean, like my students today, we were reading an excerpt of I mean, a completely different genre, but it was a Supreme Court case from 1803, and trying to read the wording and understanding, the differences in language from then to now is like is takes so much more work, So it's
Yeah.
and then
It was
when you're working at it, you're not really processing it right.
I think that's
You're decoding and you're not
yeah.
necessarily
I
comprehending.
think that's exactly like that's a perfect way to put it. That's exactly where I kind of got lost on this book is that I was working so hard to make sure I was understanding that I wasn't actually
that you
like
weren't
taking
actually
any of
understanding.
it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overall a good book. Like if someone was doing research or someone was just interested in that time period,
Yeah.
it
So
would be first a primary source account
Right.
is always good. In a completely different
yeah.
genre.
Your next book
The next
is
book is I love, love, love the Harlequin intrigue books. They're
okay.
short books. They're not novella sized, but they're short, quick reads. Romance is always part of the story, but it's not the center point of the story. They're
Okay.
much more about like thriller and mystery. This one is called Killed on the Homestead by Nicole Helm, and it's set on a Wyoming ranch, which of course I love. And the oldest son of the rancher, oldest son, he might be the only son of the rancher comes home. He's had a career ending injury playing Major League Baseball. He's kind of made this decision that it's not going to heal in a way that, and I'm too old to really work that hard at it to
Mhm.
make it worth my while. So I'm going to go back to my ranch. And he gets there and immediately is thrown into someone stealing cattle. Someone has died. Like, why the fuck has no one told me any
Mhm.
of this? Like, what is going on? And he has to try and help solve the mystery and the romance in it is that there's a private investigator in town who's like a childhood crush, and they have to like get past their kind of like sort of enemies to lovers. Like they're
Mhm.
definitely like the banter is more like good God, shut the fuck up. Than oh you're cute, but they have to get past that and work together and solve the mystery. they're just really cute books, but the mysteries in them are always I didn't know who it was gonna be until pretty close to the end
Yeah.
when they start to figure it out, you start to figure it out, and you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that sneaky guy."
Mhm.
So that was really good. And I think there's a ton of those, Harlequin intrigue. So, Harlequin, if you're listening,
Hmm.
Sponsor
hook
us.
me up. I will read all of
Yeah.
them.
Oh, Harlequin. Yeah, I'd read Harlequin. I'd read
I love
romances.
Yeah, I do read the romances too, but I
Mhm.
like these, like, little mystery and
Yeah.
they're not all set in, like, the West, but there's a whole
Right.
section of them that
Right.
is, so I, of course, love that. And then, because we talked about Fahrenheit 451 last time, I did go pick up the graphic novel, because when I was in
Mhm.
high school, I did not like this book. I just I could probably remember 2 things from it. I did
Yeah.
not like it,
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in reading it again, but after we talked about it last time, I was like, we'll give the graphic novel a try." And it has an intro by Ray Bradbury
Oh.
talking about, like, how, it was adapted to graphic novel because obviously it's such a shorter form. And then
Mhm.
Tim Hamilton is the graphic novel author. And I really, really liked it because it really narrows down onto, like, the important
Mhm.
parts. And it really reminded me, like, the argument that I have quite literally all the time as a librarian about the importance of graphic novels.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because if I had been handed this when I was,
Right.
like, 11th grade,
Yeah.
I would have gotten so much more out of it
Yep.
than I did when I felt like I was being forced to read a book that I just wasn't interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the pictures helped immensely. The artwork in this book is phenomenal.
Mhm.
It just reminded me again of, like, the importance of having
Mhm.
different access points for
Yeah.
different students and different
Yeah.
readers because you get the same message out of both
Right.
and you
Right.
can participate in the discussions having read either one. And then
Mhm.
it immediately reminded me of my favorite Ray Bradbury book, which is The Illustrated Man, which
Oh, I've not read that one.
oh, it's good. So I ordered it off of Etsy because you can buy it new, but I want the original
The
cover.
original?
So
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was pretty cheap off of Etsy to get just like
Really?
a copy from like the 1960s. But The Illustrated Man, I'll talk about more next week, but the crux of it is this person was a circus performer and his act is canceled, but the tattooed lady or the tattooed man has left. So he's like, I can do like I want to stay in the circus. I can do that. So he goes to this person to get full body tattoos. And it turns
Really?
out the person that tattoos him is like a witch or magic or something.
Yeah,
I'll have
of
to
course.
reread it again
So
to get the specifics.
weaves it in or
But
whatever.
yeah, the crux of because Ray Bradbury writes like phenomenal
Mhm.
science fiction. The idea is that the book then turns into a series of short stories, and each one of the tattoos,
Oh.
depending on who the
Oh!
illustrated man meets, the tattoos will reflect a story about or for that person. And the tattoo I have on my hand, the flower, I need to get the other one done still, but it hurts so bad that I'm putting it off. But these are from the book. His are on his palms, but
Oh.
he has roses on his palms, and depending on if the person he's meeting has good intentions or bad, the flowers will either
Oh.
bloom or wither.
Oh.
And like, so I like that's one of my favorite ones. So I ordered it because I haven't read it in years.
I have
So I was like,
never
oh, I
read
want to
that
read that
one.
one again. It's good. Some of the stories are better than others, but
Right, right.
when you read it with today's lens, you're
Mhm.
like it's like real life, like virtual reality, like
Well,
and
my
the same thing we talked
favorites
about for 451.
and my favorites from him are his short I mean, I love Fahrenheit
Yeah,
451, but I love All Summer in a Day. That one,
yeah,
like, affected me tremendously as a kid. Um, There Will Come Soft Rains.
yeah,
That, like,
yeah.
haunted me, that short story, and
His
The
yes.
Veld. The
Oh, I don't know
Veld is
what's that one.
crazy
I'm sure I've
future.
read it, but like
Yeah,
that one's not
yeah,
popping in my head. I'll have to look it up.
and then I've read Dandelion Wine, and I've
Mhm.
read The Martian Chronicles, is that what and Something Wicked This Way Comes,
Yes.
but
Yeah, yeah.
I've never even heard of the illustrator, so I'm adding that to my
It's
list
a
right
yeah.
now.
It's a full story because it's
Yeah, but
the same person connecting each
yeah,
short story, but each short story is like
mhm,
fucking wild. Like you're
yeah,
like, "Oh shit,
yeah,
like now we're in space. Now we're in
yeah,
virtual
yeah, yeah,
reality."
yeah.
Now we're like but
Oh, it
also we're
contains The Veld.
Oh,
Hmm.
maybe that's why that sounded familiar. I was like, have I read that? So maybe it's in there.
Because it says when I'm looking at it on Goodreads, it's like a whole list of all. Oh, and
All the
marionettes is
stories
on there too.
yeah,
Oh, so
it's got
I've
a
read
ton of
some
different
of
stories, some
these.
of them,
Yeah. Oh, the
but
Veld is like
not how it's all connected together.
no. That's
So
why
they're
I'm
all
like,
strung together based on the tattoos
yeah,
that the guy has.
yeah. I think
They
I've
come
read The
alive, like,
Visitor.
at night to,
I've
like,
read The
tell these
Concrete
stories. It's
Mixer. I've
crazy.
read, or at least I've watched because I used to watch like Ray Bradbury
Yeah.
Presents. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll be reading that one in the future.
Yes. Well, I'm reading it next month, so we can
Okay.
chit chat about it.
All right.
Or actually this month, because I think it's supposed to show up today. I'm, like, super excited about
Ooh,
it.
yeah.
And then the last book that I read was another one that I just saw at the library, and I was like, "I'll pick that up." Like, it looks interesting enough. I did not pick this one up while I was out and about with students, though. I was returning my other books. I had to pick up a book
Why?
that
I
was on
can't
hold.
imagine why.
This definitely piqued my interest.
Yes.
I
So this
know.
one is called Murder on Sex Island, and it's by Joe Firestone. I read this book in one sitting. It's so absurd and so funny. And I think the reason it works is because the author clearly knows how absurd it is that you're just like, yep, we're all here for the same ride. So it's part of a series. The main character has an alter ego named Luella Van Horn, who is a private investigator and mostly solves missing cat and dog crimes. And she's from like Long Island.
Long
And that's
Island.
like her she's from
Long
Long Island.
Island.
And that's her main lot in life. She has
Uh-huh.
completely blown up the rest of her life. Like she used to have a fiance. She has used to have a real job as Marie Jones. I think Jones was her last name. And she's like, I'm going to do this now. And she completely botches a case. Oh no, her original job was maybe a therapist or a counselor. And one of her patients turns out to be the person that is actually the murderer
Oh,
in previous plot
Oh,
line, and she
okay.
messes it up. Like she just can't see past the two sides of her personality. So she's kind of falling apart. And there is a TV show that is essentially Temptation Island, but it's called Sex Island.
Sex Island.
And it brings people who are like between the ages of like 21 because they want them to get drunk, like 21 and 24 to this island. And basically people who are watching it think that they're like just fucking around the entire time. And then there's a winner at the end, and the winner is based on who is best at sex, which is like a crazy concept that like the whole thing is just about whether or not you're the best person on the island at sleeping with
Right.
people. But one of the cast members goes missing. And through a series of like 6 degrees of separation, like I know this person who knows this person, they call her in to solve this crime. And they fly her to Sex Island. So she has to now keep up this like, it's a wig, it's fake teeth, it's lipstick. And she's 29, so she's way older than everyone else. But they're like, you have to be a contestant. So throughout the story, she's trying to solve the murder mystery and be on a show that she has no business being on. And you're finding out that almost no one is having sex. They're all faking it
oh,
for like the cameras. So that's like always under a blanket, but
That's
she
how even
doesn't know
better.
it.
Like,
So she like the first scene where she thinks they're like, you're gonna have sex with Phil. And she thinks, I don't want to have fucking sex with Phil, but she doesn't know how to get out of it. And they get under the blankets and he's like fully dressed and he's just like making the entire thing. And she's like, what is happening right now? Like, and
oh
she's
my
like,
gosh.
oh yeah, great. Do I sound like this is real life? She doesn't know how to fake it. She doesn't know. Nobody prepped her for any of this.
Clearly has not watched When
It's
Harry Met Sally, right?
hilarious. The whole thing is so flippin' funny. And then at the end, the who the missing person, you find out he's dead like 10 seconds into it. So it's a murder mystery. Who actually did the murder and why? Bananas. I was like, what is happening? So freaking funny though. Even the scene where she figures it out and they try to get rid of her. The entire time I was laughing. I was like, this is the funniest thriller I've ever read in my life. So that was a good one to end on for the month. So that's all my books with a lot of side notes in there.
You kind of read a lot of very different ones this month,
Yeah.
though.
I
Like,
did. I was
so
all
you
over the
had a
map.
lot of genres.
Yeah. I was all over the place this month. Marianne, how
Okay,
about you?
well, so I vote that Kit always goes last because my books are so, like, normal by comparison, to hers, it's like, okay, I'm
We gotta read Monster Romance.
not
Just
my
throw everyone off right there at the end.
not my jam. I don't know, the mechanics just seem off,
I like listening to you talk about
The
them, but I probably will
mechanics.
never read them.
Yeah,
Like, I am fascinated that this is an actual genre,
yeah,
Dude, it's
but
so funny.
also good for you.
yeah.
Thank you for exploring that one for us.
I
Taking
feel
one
like,
for the team.
we're a spectrum, like from
We
Yeah,
are,
that
definitely.
is the high point of our little group here.
yes.
Something for everybody.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's my books in order of how much I like them. Okay. So my top book pretty much for the year, possibly in life, is Saoirse by Charlene
Mhm.
Hertzweis. I've talked about this. I talked about the seems weird to say print, but like the visual arc that I read last year, but I listened to the audio arc this year, and the narrator just totally brought the story to life, and I just loved it. It releases on February 24th. The print is by Celadon Books, and the audio is by Macmillan Audio.
Mhm.
And add it to your TBR. I love this book so much. It's about a woman from America who escapes a really bad situation on a stolen passport and goes to Ireland. And the walls start closing in on her after, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years. And when you weave a web of lies, eventually you get caught up in them. And it's so good. I love that book. I also listened to Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult. This one is hard to explain without giving it away, so I'm just going to leave it there. That was for one of my in person book clubs. The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley for our podcast. Love that one. So here's some of the others that I've read. There's an arc called Save the Date by Mallory Cass. And it was a lot of fun. It's about a wedding weekend where nothing goes as planned, that the maid of honor is secretly in love with the groom. The bride's sister is fake dating so that their terminally ill mother will think she is going to be settled before mom
Oh
dies.
gosh.
And it's like this whole total comedy of errors. And it was a lot of fun. It's like, um, the ending's not really necessarily what you thought it was going to be since it's a total comedy of errors. So I would say put it on your TBR. It's linked on our bookshop.org uh, arcs to whatever. How do we put that? What's the name of that shelf about arcs? I can't remember. I came up with the name. I don't remember what it was.
Oh.
It comes out in April from Atria Books. Um, How to Read a Book by Monica Wood. I know, Sarah, you said your book club is looking at this one. It was
Yep.
totally not what I expected. I thought it was going to be like this little cozy hometown bookstore romance or something. And instead, it's about this woman who's in her 60s. She's a widow. Um, and she has a book club for women in prison. And she suddenly is told she's not allowed to go anymore. And so she can't, communicate with them. But then she inadvertently runs into one of the women who has been released and her is living in her same hometown, set, I believe, up in Maine. And it's an interesting story about like rebuilding your life. Like the main character, and I can't remember her name right now off the top of my head, the older woman, like she's a widow. So she's rebuilding her life after, being married, and she was a school teacher
Mhm.
for a while. The inmate is rebuilding her life after was it like a drunk driving incident where she killed a woman, but she was basically a good person who made one mistake, and now it's going to haunt her for the rest of her life because she's
Right,
going to have
right.
that felony on her. So she's like rebuilding her life. And also there's a man who is the husband of the woman who was killed that becomes a part of their circle, which you wouldn't expect that. And
Mhm.
he's rebuilding his life after the death of his wife. And it was just interesting about how, like, rebuilding your life and making new connections, and kind of like you're never too old to do that too. Because,
Mhm.
like,
Right.
so well, it's a fun book. It's a good book club read because there's lots to talk about.
Yeah.
I read Good Spirits by BK Borison, which I know Sarah loved this. I liked it.
I'm, like, so far down the list on, like, I requested it at the
Yeah.
library.
Maybe next
It's gonna
Christmas
be a
you'll get it.
while.
Um, I liked it, didn't love it, and I think I told Sarah, and not that it was bad, but to me, the magic element just didn't, it wasn't like consistent to me. Like sometimes other people could see him, sometimes they couldn't. Maybe it's because this or that or the other. But I was like, I'm sorry, you need to spell it out for me. I don't want to have to read between the lines. Just tell me what's going on. Why can some people see him all of a sudden? But
It makes me excited to read her other books
oh yeah,
because I loved it so much, and you loved her other ones, so I'm kinda
yeah.
like, "Ooh, now I'm
Yeah.
really like."
Yeah, I really like the Love Light Farm series. I've read the
Mhm,
first 3 and there's a 4th one I think is, on hold on Libby, but yeah, I would
mhm.
and I liked First Time Caller was the first one I read. It was really big about a year
Yeah,
ago.
Mhm.
Definitely like her books. It's nothing against her. It's just, there was something about the magic element that just didn't do it for me. But,
yeah,
I
okay,
do
fair.
still love an Irish ghost, so still
I
you
know, I
gotta love
mean
Nolan, even though, some of it was a little far-fetched for me, but did love Nolan. Okay. I read An Arc of Mad Mabel by Sally Hepworth. I'd never read any of her books before. It's about an 81-year-old woman named Mabel who may or may not be a serial killer because, as, like,
I love that.
uh, the 2 people you don't suspect are little girls and old ladies,
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
did was Mabel like a serial killer, like, as a child, or is she now? And, um, I liked it, didn't love it. Some twists and turns. I would probably read some of her others. This one, again, I guess sometimes some of the when an old lady is, like, super nimble and can do all these things, and
Mhm.
I started thinking, "Is she really able to do that?" But still, it was fun. I think we'll get to her. I'll come back to her later on in the show.
Mhm.
Um, then 2 arcs that were really disappointing to me. Oh, before I get
Oh.
there, I did listen to Fahrenheit 451. I forgot to put
Oh,
it on the
yeah.
Oh, did
list.
you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of times when I listen to books, I've already read them, so that way I don't have to pay 100% attention while I'm
Right,
driving
Yeah.
right.
because I only listen in the car, really.
Okay.
Okay.
And so I got distracted and I didn't like fully grasp all of the story, but got enough
Mhm.
to like my mind to be blown in a number of different ways. Like you were talking about last month about how Ray Bradbury was like seeing into the future about
Yeah.
Mhm.
the big screen TVs that were talking to you, so that part of it really blew me away. But I lost the plot in a few places about like the
Mhm.
girl who got killed and
Yeah.
uh, it's probably one of those ones I would have been better off reading and then listening to so that I would get the
Mhm.
whole thing. So,
Right, right.
but there's 2 arcs that I was pretty disappointed in. And it's not any disrespect to the authors because these are both authors that I've read a number of their books and I, totally respect them. But I read Meet Me in Paris by Kristen Harmel. And I had seen her at a signing last summer at Oxford Exchange in Tampa.
Mhm.
And she was talking about her next book, and she's known for her World War II, historical
Mhm,
fiction,
mhm.
but she's got her start writing rom-coms.
Oh. Okay.
And she wanted to like have some fun. And she loves Paris. I think she lived there for a while and she loves Paris. So it's set in Paris and it's like 7 different storylines. Kind of, and she said it was kind of like Love Actually, in that there's like all these different intertwining storylines. But
Mhm.
it just again, like, suspending my disbelief was hard about, like, a 99-year-old World War II veteran
Mhm.
breaking into a jog when he saw somebody in
Right.
distress.
Right.
I'm like I mean, there and then another storyline was this, like, terminally ill mom. She was, like, 49 or 50. She wasn't very old, and she had a daughter who was in college, and they're going to Paris, before mom dies, and mom's got, like, pancreatic cancer. and
Mhm.
it's terminal. She can't do any more chemo. And they're like walking around and they're eating all this food. And I'm thinking, I just don't really think somebody who's terminally ill is going to be able to
It's
do
gonna
as
be yeah.
much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's so that kind of kept pulling me out of the story. There's a famous
Yeah.
rock star who's making his big comeback. He's like in his late 40s and he's like walking around Paris and nobody's recognizing him.
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't really think a baseball cap is going to make that big a difference. I think somebody's going to
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
who you
Much
are.
for Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. So
Superman, he just put on glasses and
With the
nobody knew who he
glasses.
that's
was.
true.
Exactly.
What am I thinking? I guess I
I
am
know.
just a cynic. But so that one kind of it disappointed. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it
Mm.
wasn't my favorite by her. But again, I will
Mhm.
definitely read her other books. That's not
Right,
her
right.
writing.
Yeah.
It's just this one wasn't for me. And then the one my least favorite was Summer State of Mind by Christy Woodson Harvey. And I usually love her books. They're quote unquote women's fiction, which is a title that I hate. But,
Mhm.
it basically means that like a woman's journey is the main
Yeah.
part of the
Mhm.
story, not like the romance part. And her books are all set in the South, like in North Carolina. Cape Carolina is a fictional town where a lot of her books are set.
Okay.
It's about a baseball coach, a high school baseball coach who finds a baby in a dumpster, brings the baby to the hospital. He and the nurse who are caring for the baby are making hard eyes at each other. Then they make a bunch of ethical and moral decisions that go against everything that as a person in education would ever do,
Mhm.
like withholding the identity of the baby daddy when she figured it out because you don't want to mess up his baseball scouting visit. And the nurse withholds medical information from a doctor
Ugh.
about
Oh.
the girl who's just given birth because her parents are going to be too mad if they find out she was pregnant.
Mhm.
Mm.
Plus, the nurse wants to foster the baby and hopefully adopt it. So,
She's got some
yeah,
maybe not
Yeah.
all on the up and up
yeah, and it's like
motivations.
it just, I I just was like I said, I didn't and I think it's from our Twilight Moms days when we were never allowed to
Yeah.
actually speak ill of the author. So it
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
it goes against everything to give this a negative review, but as a teacher and knowing like the moral code that like nurses have to live by, there's
Yeah.
just so many things that I went, that's just not right. And
Yeah.
so
You would lose your job, you'd lose your
yes.
license, you'd
Yeah,
lose, like
exactly, yeah.
even if, like, not even from, like, a moral, ethical standpoint, there's
Mhm.
legalities to it
Yes,
as well.
yes, yeah.
Like, I figured out who the baby daddy is, but he's got a scout coming from the University of North Carolina. I don't wanna distract him,
Mm,
so I'm not gonna tell him because
Yeah.
he
yeah,
doesn't know he's the baby daddy 'cause
Yeah.
right.
so I just it's really hard for me to talk bad about a book, but this one was just not
Not
Just
it
didn't
for
do
for
it
you.
for
me,
you.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and I think it's different too, like, it's not author bashing per se, it's
Yes.
wasn't you like other books by her. You've talked
Yes.
about her a lot about how
Yeah.
much you
Yeah.
love her books, so I think it's different, and like I said, even when I read a book where I'm like, "I kinda like the writing, but I didn't love the author, but I'm gonna
Right.
try another one because I
Yeah.
really
Right.
liked the writing. I just didn't love how the plot was put together." I think that's different than just
I just
these
feel like
people who are, "I'm going to cancel so and so because I
yeah.
don't like them, and
Different
this
than how
book
I
was
feel about
terrible," and
Colleen
it's like,
Hoover.
that's not
It
how it
it
yeah.
just
Yeah.
I feel like the book is literally dangerous because
Yeah.
people
I've felt that way about a couple books. Not
yeah.
that I've read, like, since we've
Yeah.
started the podcast where, like, the information might make for a good story, but it's giving bad information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like even like my friend from work who told me she didn't like the book The Teacher by Frida McFadden because it
Mhm.
puts teachers in this light of they're all screwing around with or their students.
Mhm.
Right, right.
It's the same idea. It's like
Yeah.
she told me she couldn't read it, couldn't finish reading it because it made her angry. And that's kind of how I
Yeah.
feel about this book. It's just like it's just making me angry that
Yeah.
that these professionals are making decisions that are
Yeah.
not only
And
emotionally
it
dangerous, but, like, withholding the fact that a girl just gave birth from a doctor
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
just
I'm
telling her it's
assuming, yeah, that at no point in the book is that, like, addressed. Like, it would be
yes,
different if, like, other
Yeah.
people in the book were like, "Yo, you're doing shady shit."
yeah,
But,
Or if they
like,
know it the whole time, one of those, like,
yeah,
it
like,
sticks
just,
with
yeah.
like, a
them, and 20
bad
years down the
person,
road,
yeah.
they finally the guilt has come th like,
No,
some
there's,
sort
like,
of
a happily
repercussion.
ever after, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
no. No.
oh, yeah. Okay, so let's get into our rapid fire questions. So, first of all, which character would you wanna go on a road trip with? Sarah?
I said Daisy Darker from Daisy Darker. The thriller that I read, the story is told through her narration, and she's an interesting character to begin with, but by the time you get to the end and everything comes together, it's like, "Oh, I wanna have a
Mhm.
longer conversation with her about this." So she's one, like, I just kinda wanna sit and talk to. She's an
Yeah.
interesting person. How about, you, Marianne?
I would pick Doty from Saoirse. Um, he is half black, half Kenyan, I believe it was, and
Oh.
half Irish. His mother had a relationship with a unknowingly with a married man, but then she raised him in an Irish speaking community up
Huh.
in Donegal,
Mhm.
the Galtech they call it, I believe. And at one point in the book, when he and Saoirse, that's her love interest, they're split up, and he ends up going to Africa and meeting his birth father and building houses with him. And he's lived in America, so I think and he's just really like steady and kind and patient. And the audio book really brings him to life, and I would definitely want to go on a road trip with him. How about
Nice.
you, Kit?
So I read a lot of books this month with characters that I would not want to be caught dead in a car with, including several serial killers who, like, literally that would be the only reason I would be in a car. So I had a hard time picking, but I ended up picking Rosalie, who's the main girl in Killed on the Homestead. She is this, like, tiny little snarky, sarcastic, redheaded, kick-ass private investigator. She doesn't take shit from anyone. And I feel like she would have tons of just good stories.
Yes,
Like, she feels like the kind of person that you'd be in the car driving somewhere and she'd be like, "Yo, this one time someone got murdered over here and I had to solve this crime." And you'd be like, it'd be like your own little, like, true crime murder podcast, just, like, yapping away next to you, which I think would be awesome for a road trip.
that sounds like
So that's
fun.
who I picked. How
Good.
about someplace in one of these books that you would wanna go visit? Where would you wanna go, Marianne?
I would pick Paris because one thing about Kristen Harmel is that you can tell that she knows and loves Paris really well, and the descriptions of the places and the food and just the whole ambiance just makes me just want to go there. I've been there once as an adult and once as a child, and but feel like I barely scratched the surface. So I would
Mhm.
just like to go and really, really experience it. How about you, Kit?
Me, I picked the Scottish fishing village from the Har. In the Har, it is very creepy and very scary. I wouldn't want to visit it in that scenario, but the Scottish fishing village talks a lot about being able to walk down to the cliffs and watch the fog roll in and the sunset breaking through it. And some of the descriptions were just really, really beautiful. I would want to go see that in person because I know you guys have traveled overseas a lot. I have not traveled overseas at all. So all of these places to me
Mhm.
are kind of
They
like
sound
this
amazing.
bucket list, like, thing that I haven't seen. How about you, Sarah?
I said that coastal island near Cornwall, the
Oh,
one,
yeah, yeah.
from Daisy Darker, just the whole I don't know, I was really fascinated by there's the castle in, is it in France? That you can only access it when the tide is low?
Oh,
Oh,
I know the one you mean.
Do you know what I'm
yeah, yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
And I've always been fascinated by that idea that you were, like, kind of stuck, but not really, like you could get across, and they just made it sound so beautiful, and the house on it was very quirky. The grandmother they're all visiting, she's an author, a children's book author. She has, like 75 clocks or something, 40 clocks. I don't know. It was a lot, like a
A
few
lot of
dozen
clocks.
clocks. And they
Yeah,
all like, they're all from different parts of the world and they all go off at
that's
the
cool.
hour at the same time. So cool and quirky. She also has a time clock, like a time,
Oh,
like
fun.
punch in clock by the
Mhm.
door. And that's how she keeps track of people who visit her. That everyone
Oh,
has a
that's
time
fun.
card.
That's
And so they
that's
punch in and out.
cool.
So just like a quirky house on a really cool
Yeah,
island that just sounds amazing, even though it was a thriller. The house
yeah,
itself is not scary. It's not like, "Ooh, this is a spooky house." It's the
yes.
people that fill it. So,
I got
This castle that you referenced, Sarah,
yeah,
in
what's it
France,
called?
Mont Saint Michel, maybe?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah,
horrible butchering of any kind of French
yeah.
pronunciation.
My parents
It's
have been there.
beautiful. It's in Normandy, France,
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep,
right on the
that's why my
border of
parents have been
Normandy and
there. Yeah.
Brittany. And the picture that comes up when you look first looks like something out of a Disney movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like a
it's
Disney castle with
gorgeous. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
parents have been there because they went to Normandy. My dad, of course, is
yeah,
a stereotypical old guy who likes World War II stuff. Plus, my
yeah,
his dad fought in World War II.
yeah.
So, and my grandfather was wounded in France
Oh, wow.
And
near Vichy. So he like
it's
went
kind
over
of
there and
yeah.
found. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It seems kind of touristy maybe a little bit now,
Yeah.
at least, like, what I'm
Yes.
reading, like, the description,
Yeah.
it's like it includes a medieval village,
Yep.
there's lots of shops, restaurants, and then the historic abbey is at the top.
Yeah.
And you can access it by bridge during high tide,
And
but,
during high
like, for the
tide, but
traditional, like,
people like to
experience,
wait
you
till
wanna
low
walk.
tide so they can walk
Yeah.
through. I just think this. I don't know.
I'm
The
like, "It's
sound of
so
that's just
cool. That
really
sounds so cool."
interesting to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
All right. What character would you want to have dinner with, Kit?
Orpheus, full stop. We know how much I love the Orpheus and Eurydice kind of story. So there's like a million reasons to sit down with him, but I kind of like the idea of being able to just first of all, he's like the of the time period, the best lyre player. Like they talk about it
Yeah.
all the time about how he's entertaining everyone. And obviously the most famous story is him fumbling Eurydice there, but
Yeah.
he has all these other stories to tell. So I kind of want to
Mhm.
like dig in on some other things and then also be like for the love of God, please give me the final answer on why you turned around.
Right, right.
Because there's been so many different interpretations and there's some that I like more than other like reasons why,
Mhm.
but I would want to know from him. Like why did you turn around?
Yeah.
You knew it was going to happen. Why'd you do it?
That, like, drives me crazy, the whole well, when we did Hadestown this fall, the
Yeah.
kids were all like, "It just shows that men can't be trusted ever." I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, girlfriends."
Okay.
And they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Seriously, the men are the one that screw things up in this whole damn story." And I was like,
yeah.
"You're
I
not
mean,
wrong,
true.
but also."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The and like you also, I'm sure, have seen like the interpretations where he thinks she's already out. Like he doesn't know
Yeah.
that she hasn't made it out. But I read one that was and it was just like a fucking Reddit post. Like it wasn't even anything like
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
but where someone was basically talking about the fact that like he simply cannot fathom not looking back for her.
Yeah.
That it's so ingrained in his like mind and soul and its habit that even if he's telling himself not to, his body is like, "You have to look for her. Like,
Yeah.
you have to make sure she's there."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you're giving him a lot of credit," but I do kind of like that
I
as
get
a
that.
like,
Yeah.
I get that, like, you can't because how many times is that mimicked in, like, every romantic movie or story or comedy where,
Yeah.
like, they walk away from each other and they're like,
And then they
"One
turn to
last look
look to see if
back."
the other person is looking back. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, that
That's
kind of
true.
idea of he can't help it. He loves her
That's
so
true.
much that he can't keep himself from looking towards her.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dang, guys,
That's
okay." So,
good.
yeah, but
That's
I'd
good.
wanna know, like, give me the real answer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why? So that would be my answer. How about you, Marianne?
I picked Mabel from Mad Mabel because, is she or is she not a serial killer?
Mhm.
And what's her whole story? So I think she would be very interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
And how about you, Sarah?
I said Taryn from Kindred Curse Saga. I was right. It's Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the
Okay,
Everflame, and then Heat of the Everflame is the third one. That's what I'm on now.
got it.
Um, he is like the comic relief of this group. He likes a good drink, and I just
Mhm.
think that he would be hilarious. Like, there's always talks about when they have their big group dinners together of Taran regaling them with tales and
Yeah.
of his adventures and being funny and all this, and I'm like, "Yeah, I think I would
That's a
spend
cool
some
name
time with
too.
him."
Down
So
for that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He's he's super cute, they talk about, but you kinda maybe learn in the 3rd one that he just doesn't go for my team, because
You
it's
know, still fun to
romantasy,
hang
and I'm
out
like,
with.
"Oh, Taran. Why doesn't anyone want Taran?" Because he's gay. That's why.
There it is.
So I'm like, none of the girl I shouldn't say nobody wants him. The girls don't
The
want him,
girls
or
are,
they
yeah,
kinda
they
or he
know
doesn't
what's up.
seem to, but he's like a big flirt too, and
Yeah.
he seems really, really, really funny. So, I think having a good meal with him, I feel like I'd probably like the gut aching laugh when you just keep laughing
Yeah,
so
yeah,
hard with
yeah.
someone, I think would be really funny. So,
Yeah.
okay, so does that bring us to our top book recommendation?
It does appear
Top
that way.
books.
Okay, who wants to go first on this one?
I can go first.
Okay.
So my favorite book was actually the one that was recommended by my coworker Marissa, which I love getting recommendations from people, and I especially love when a book that they love I also
Mhm.
end up loving because you're always like, it's not good, but I love this one. It's the horror. It's there's so much happens in such a short amount of time. There's
Right.
the property developer who's like threatening people. He's not afraid to like actually like just go knock people off. Muriel is the older woman. She's our last holdout. She is not selling. And the reason she's not selling is kind of where the supernatural folk fairy tale weaves in. Her husband was a fisherman. He was lost at sea. This is the house they were married in, they lived in, they raised their children in. She is not giving it up. And she's fully willing to, like, if they're going to come and kill her, she's going to try and take out some with her, but she's not signing it over.
Mhm.
And then there's the Har. So the Har is a ocean fog monster. Muriel goes down to the ocean. At the outset, it seems like kind of a slimy octopusy squid kind of thing. And it's clearly injured. And she is like, I have to save it. It's something about it makes her want to like take care of it. And she takes it to her house. She puts it in the bath. She's going to try and save it. And I can't remember exactly how it got some blood, like maybe she cut herself or something. And once it gets blood, it can take on the guise of anyone, essentially. It becomes
Okay,
like a
yep.
shapeshifter. And in order to make Muriel comfortable, it kind of feeds on her memories of her husband and takes
Hmm.
on the guise and persona of her husband.
Oh,
But because it didn't know her husband, it can only use what Muriel feels. So it's a very
Okay,
idealized perfect version of her
okay.
husband because it can only use what she can give it. And it becomes this very weird kind of romance where she knows, but she so misses her husband
oh,
that she's kind of willing to just go
Okay.
with it. But there's also all these really bad guys that need to be dealt with, and the heart has to be fed.
oh no.
So it's kind of a win win. So there's a lot of like, and the
Blood.
horror is creepy as fuck. And I like the way it was written in the synopsis. It says the book is a romantic and deranged, and the horror brings redemption to some, and to others only madness and death. So while you're reading the book, you have this kind of in your mind that like everyone's really ignoring like the elephant in the room, which is like that's a fucking monster
Yeah.
and it can do some serious damage, but you don't know which characters are going to meet which fate.
Mm.
So there's this level of suspense and kind of like building terror in it
Mhm.
that's done really well because you don't know how it's going to end, and I'm not going to tell you how it ends because it is not how I expected.
Of
But
course not.
I read it and I just went, "Oh, like yeah, that is the I can't imagine it ending any other way." And there's no, like, happy resolve necessarily, but it's like a, "Oh," like, "Oh, so much is happening. What is happening?" And then you're just like, "Yeah, that is how that should end." So it was really, really good. So if you kind of like a straight up horror with some very, very clear fairy tale nods, this is a really good one. How about you, Sarah?
Mine is definitely Kindred Curse Saga right now. I when I started it, I said I wasn't sure about it. It is
Mhm.
definitely her world building and her magic. She's building this magic system. So it took a little bit going through. For romantasy fans, there's a little more closed door. This is much more closed door,
Okay.
at least for 2.5 books. In fact, I'm almost more than halfway through the third book, and they still haven't completely done the deed, which is kind of
Okay.
crazy for romantices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's still that connection and that pull that you have to be around each other. Um, and so I'm looking forward to when I bought all these books, I thought there was just 3.
How many are there?
The 4th one comes
700.
out in
Uh,
July, and so I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,"
yeah.
that's why I waited to read them. I thought the series was done
Yeah.
and I'd be able to like, "Okay, move on," and I'm like, "Nope, guess not gonna
Yeah.
but
be able
wait,
to,
there's
whenever that."
more.
But at least it's just
But
July.
wait.
At least it's till
Yeah.
July, because the other
Yeah.
And
book
not like
one
2027.
Yeah.
no, not like I'm waiting for I mean, the sequel to Onyx Storm hasn't even been written yet,
Yeah.
and that book came out a year ago, so
Still waiting for the
I know.
last book in the Game of Thrones
I
series. It's
know.
been like a
You might wait
decade.
forever with it.
It's gonna be forever.
So highly recommended, definitely a good, really good fantasy series. So,
Yeah.
Marianne, are you the one that hasn't gone yet? Yeah. You
Yeah.
wanna
So I'd say save the date on your TBR. It's a lot of fun. A wedding day that nothing happens that you're expecting it to happen, or a wedding weekend, I should say. It's not just one day. It's like a wedding weekend, and nothing ends up the way you think it's going to end up. So it's just a lot of fun. And then, just at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I love Saoirse. Have I
Yeah.
mentioned that at all? How much I love
Never.
Saoirse?
What?
Never.
Never heard of
Never. It
it.
comes out this month, and what, 3 weeks from today, actually,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't know, it's just something about it I just love. So, Ireland, and it's kinda suspenseful. I
Mm,
think I like that kinda not really a thriller, but where, all these lies are building up, and, they're just gonna collapse on
yeah.
you, and I
Yep.
I like that. So, definitely those would be my picks. So,
Nice.
where are we up
All
to
right.
now? Is that our
We are
Alright.
up to what are we reading next? So that's everything that we read this past
Yeah.
month, which Sarah and your 4 books that are actually longer than
Yeah.
probably all of the
I
books that
know.
I
Yeah.
read put together. You're like, I
Page-wise,
read
it's
nothing.
probably like yeah.
Page, yeah, if we were going like word count or page rise, I read a lot of novellas, and you're like, I'm gonna read the longest book known to man, and then
I
feel bad about it
Yeah,
that it was
right?
only 4 books.
Right.
But we're up to what we're reading next. So, Sarah, what you got on deck?
I am obviously gonna finish Heat of the Everflame by
Mhm.
Penn Cole, that 3rd book, and then I'm gonna start tonight, Life's Too Short, Abby Jimenez. It's the book
Yeah.
3 in the Friend Zone.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have
Mhm.
to read all of them together, but it's like the characters are kind of
They
this,
Like
do.
like,
overlap.
They do.
repeating in there. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they're already together in this book. You read how they got together in the previous book or something, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
Yeah.
matter. So I'm gonna start that one. And then it's Gatsby time, my favorite time of year, teaching Great Gatsby.
Yay.
I nerded out with my 10th graders. I'm
Yay.
like, "You guys are about to see me go crazy because I love reading this book and I love reading it out loud, and you're gonna look at me like I'm crazy and I don't
That's
care
gonna
if I
bring
love it."
you know what that means, right?
What?
If you're reading Gatsby right now, that's our full circle. We started
It
last year
is.
while you were reading
It
Gatsby.
is.
Oh,
Our
that's
Yeah.
first podcast, we were
crazy.
talking about
Yep.
Gatsby
Yep.
and
That's
how it was like the Gatsby time of year.
that's
Love it.
That's our
crazy.
year.
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna
Oh,
other people use January 1st. We're
we're
gonna
gonna
use
use
Great
Gatsby.
Gatsby season as our
Sarah's
marker.
reading Great Gatsby with her
There
10th graders. It must be another year gone
it's
by.
another year has gone by.
Yeah. So, Marianne, what are
Nice.
you, reading right now?
I'm reading our book of the month, for February, Just Our Luck by, Denise Williams, and about 15% left on it, so I should finish it tonight. And then I will probably play Kindle roulette and find a book that I've got on my Kindle. Just
Right?
Inky Binky
That's all good.
Bonky or
What do I got?
something. So I'm not sure what's up next. I've got a bunch of arcs I'm really dying to read,
Mhm.
so maybe one of those. And
Good.
you, Kit?
Nice. I'm reading Meet Cute, which I'm reading on TikTok Live every night. That's the
Oh, that's right.
14 short stories every day from February 1st to February 14th. They're sealed, so you don't know what book you're going to get next. So I'm reading that. I also am reading Just Our Luck. I kind of put a pin in it as I picked up this other book.
Mhm.
And then obviously we have to pick my next unhinged read, which usually I jump right in and like read that. I need to tell you that this is the hardest month to pick. We were like, we got to find something leprechaun related
Really
or
hard to
St.
find
Patrick's Day related.
leprechauns?
Oh no, they're there. But if you try and like usually I just type in like, adult erotica, like whatever into Amazon. Immediately brings me children's books.
Oh.
Like, so I'm like, no, I don't want Why Does the Leprechaun Pee Green? Or like Lucy's Leprechaun, which is like a very cute looking comic. But I was like, that's not what I want. So I actually had to kind of scroll in a little bit to like get to any.
So you have some options.
I have a couple options.
Okay.
We'll go death titles to start.
Okay.
Leprechaun, Her Irish Treasures, Book 2. And that is by Jolie Sue Burkhart. These are all on Kindle Unlimited because I'm not paying for the next book, which has a cover that gives nothing away. It's literally just green fog. Is Luck Be a Leprechaun on Naughty St. Patrick's Day. The Stuffed Stocking, Book 2. And I was like, oh my God, have I read one of these before? No, I haven't. Apparently there's more series than you realize that deal with stuffed things. It's Book 2 out of 3. And then there's like more picture books, which like Liam the Leprechaun loves to fart. That's not what I want. Like, why is that in the middle of like, this list? But I have 2 more. The next one is hold on, I gotta make the screen bigger. The like title was being cut off because it's so long. My Crazy Leprechaun Wannabe Baby Daddy. Terror in the Shamrock Field. It's a spoof. It's a humorous romance horror. And it's part of the My Favorite Season series. There's a lot happening there. And then the last one is Leprechaun's Luck, a short, steamy fairy tale monster romance, part of the Ever After Unleashed series.
Well, that seems
Those are your 4 choices.
Okay, can I add one to that?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I noticed that Leprechaun was Her Irish Treasures number 2.
Yes. Did you go back?
So
I didn't.
I looked up number 1. It's called Shamrocked.
Yeah, Shamrocked.
A gargoyle, a leprechaun, and a motorcycle gang walk into a bar.
Oh.
Scratch that. A human woman, me, accidentally walks into a fairy bar run by a leprechaun who keeps a cursed gargoyle on a shelf. Somehow that gargoyle goes home with me and I start dreaming of a man.
Oh my God, she's got to free him from the gargoyle stone.
Doran, he's trapped in stone and darkness and only I can free him. He says I'm the treasure keeper and I need to find his friends, the other treasures, so we can break his curse.
Treasure keeper is such a dirty sounding name.
I
but no, it's not. Like, I don't know that it means that. But like he said, I'm the treasure keeper. That sounds dirty.
Yeah, the fact that she somehow goes home with this gargoyle that's cursed on a shelf in a bar, I'm intrigued. I don't know if it's on Kindle Unlimited.
Neither of you have a gargoyle at your house?
No. I wish.
Gargoyle.
I actually love them.
Where is mine? It might be outside. I have a stone gargoyle somewhere.
You.
This library is like my basement library. I constantly like move shit around.
I
do.
I
have a
because
stone
I love
gargoyle.
gargoyles in a weird way.
Maybe there's a leprechaun trapped in there. Only I can free him because I'm a treasure keeper. All right, that's what we're gonna go with. We're gonna start there. Shamrocked. Jolie Sue Burkhart.
Yeah, it's 113 pages on Kindle, so
done. I could read all 3 books in the series.
I was gonna say I'm very intrigued by these. Her Irish Treasures. I was like, what?
That's a great name.
The third one is Evil Eyed.
I saw that.
3 wishes for my leprechaun's gold coin.
I like when after I buy one of these books, I'm like, yes, I do want to read this. Then it gives me like discover related books. And for some reason, they gave me all the 12 hunks of Herculea, Medusa's Destiny, Daddy Biker Bear. I think that's all one title. That's the Daddy Biker Bear. Oh. So many choices, so many things to dig into.
Okay, even better when you go to the Goodreads page of Her Irish Treasures.
Oh, great. Yep.
Okay, so Shamrock, Leprechaun, Evil Eye, and then you read like what the complete trilogy is about. It gives more information about Doran, who's been trapped in stone and darkness for centuries. He tells me I'm the treasure keeper. I need to find his friends. The other 3 legendary Irish treasures. Here's the name of the treasures. Spear of Lug, the Sword of Light, and the Cauldron of the Dagda.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Like, literally a spear, a sword, and a cauldron. Like, that's maybe a little dirty. Yes, I want to hear
It's
all about
definitely
these,
dirty. Yes.
and I might read them too because they
I like
sound
so
funny.
I'm looking at the
They
summary for
they're
like
like
the complete trilogy, like the whole trilogy. That
yeah,
the line of I celebrated my divorce too hard because I woke up in bed with a
the
gargoyle
gargoyle
statue.
statue.
We've all been there, I
Um,
guess.
the whole trilogy gets 4.27 stars.
I
Wow.
know.
Crazy for
That's crazy,
so
guys.
this might be up your alley where it's unhinged with a plot.
Yeah, it gives me something to work with here. It has 2 one-star reviews. And the one review is my one-star books are ones that I didn't finish and I never plan on going back to. Full stop. And that's it. That's the only one-star review
Wow.
that shows. Good for them.
Okay.
2-star reviews.
All
They're not
right.
even gonna show me any of those. Okay, fine. Everyone else is like, I love this
So
book.
there we have it.
That's it. So that's everything we have going on.
So that's
It's a
everything we
lot.
have going on. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, if you haven't listened to last month's book club episode, The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, do it. It's perfect.
Do it.
Especially for winter right now if you're in the
Do it.
Midwest or the East Coast where we're constantly being buried.
I think
We
it's perfect.
also
Leave it in.
we also have our author interview with Matthew Norman, who wrote our December book of the month feature of Grace and Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon. Super fun interview we had with Matthew last week.
That was really
A lot
fun.
of lot of laughs.
It was
and
so fun.
yeah, and we got a lot of good
Yeah.
answers. A lot of our
Yeah.
questions were answered about
Some
that book.
exclusive.
So,
Yes.
our
Well, so
our book of
Robbie
the month,
Rose is our,
Robbie Rose.
Robbie Rose. We don't know Robbie Rose, but
we like his
Kind
name.
of.
The whole world is about to when they listen to this podcast.
Right.
So coming up next month, we are featuring Just Our Luck by Denise Williams.
And don't forget to follow our socials, subscribe to the podcast, and please leave us a review. We want to know what you think, if it's good.
Yeah, don't tell us bad things.
Yeah.
Or do.
I mean, I will, but not gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not gonna change anything.
Yeah,
We are who
literally.
we are.
We mostly just entertain ourselves, and that's fine. And we hope we entertain you.
Yes, at least a little bit.
Speaking of entertainment, did a book from this episode instantly become a must buy? You're in good company if it did. This episode features all the books we read last month, and you can find them all, plus a few very tempting upcoming releases, over on our bookshop.org storefront. And the bonus is that every purchase supports independent bookstores, which we love almost as much as we love great writing, surprising turns, and stories that live rent-free in our heads. You can shop all of our recent reads at bookshop.org/shop/RETR-book club. Or if that felt like a lot, you can head right to our bio, click on our link tree, tap right into the shop, and then you can shop smart, shop indie, and read recklessly.
So until next time, keep reading.
Keep exploring.
And don't forget to pack the snacks.